Cross-ups are an unfortunate thing that used to be a relatively common problem in Major League Baseball. Every couple games, there would be a misunderstanding that would involve the pitcher and catcher not being on the same page with a certain pitch type being delivered. But this has largely gone the way of the dinosaur after the introduction of PitchCom, as these two parties now communicate directly, making it hard to cross up anyone. But we not only just saw one of these nearly extinct instances, but it seems it may have been done intentionally as a means of a hurler getting revenge on his game caller. Framber Valdez was on the mound in a 2-0 game, with the bases loaded and 1 out, and on a 2-2 to Giancarlo Stanton. He would punch out the righty on a racing changeup or sinker, I'm not exactly sure which, putting him 1 out away from getting out of trouble entirely. But it was then on a 1-0 to a player that's been clutch all year, Trent Grisham, that Valdez grooved a fastball right down the middle, seeing it crushed out to left field into the Crawford boxes, extending New York's lead to a much safer 6-0. That was Grisham's 3rd Grand Slam of the year so far, by the way. Now, on the surface, this seems like a pretty routine sequence, right? A pitcher just missed with his spot. But if you go back to the Houston broadcast, you can see his catcher, Cesar Salazar, telling him to step off before he even delivered the offering. Yet the lefty just went ahead and did so, and paid the ultimate price. This is obviously a stubborn move on his part, but if this is where things ended, nobody would be talking about it. But, you see, just 1 pitch later, we would see Salazar get handcuffed by a 93-mile-per-hour sinker right down the middle of the plate, with the catcher's immediate reaction being a stare out to the mound, which prompted Valdez to turn with an exasperated look on his face and walk behind the mound. Look at Cesar's reaction as he goes to deliver a new ball to the hurler. It certainly seems to me like he was peeved. And it's not like Framber was apologetic either, never even approaching his catcher to check if he was okay. And in case you might think this is a little soft of a request, consider what former professional catcher and current quality content maker Eric Sim had to say, being, quote, "If he did this on purpose after the catcher told him to step off, but instead refusing, then giving up a grand slam, F him. Especially when off-speed is called and throwing a sinker. I had a torn ligament on my thumb from one of those and was out for a year. Especially when you have the kind of movement Framber does, you absolutely cannot be doing things like this in any circumstance. Period. True psycho behavior." And of course, he would claim after the game that it wasn't intentional because, what was he supposed to say? I had an outburst and hit my catcher with a pitch intentionally? Of course not, but just based on his body language and pretty much every pundit's response to this, including former Major League player Dallas Braden, who believed it was 100% intentional, I think it's pretty safe to say it was so. This is going to go down as one of the all-time scummy teammate moves we have on video. And yeah, it's hard not to see it affecting his incoming free agency in one way or another. The Yankees would go on to close this one out by a final score of 7-1, saddling Valdez with a well-deserved loss as New York proceeded to overtake the Astros in record. Which means with the hard-charging Red Sox right behind them, if Houston doesn't manage to secure their tentative lead on their division, they could very well end up not making the playoffs at all. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.